When I walk outside with my head in the clouds, everywhere I go, I keep singing out. It's gonna be a good day. I'm gonna sing all my blues away. Everything's alright when I got you by my side. It's gonna be a good day. Sing it! Everything's alright when I got you by my side. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day.
Hello, you. Welcome to Geekism and welcome to Planet Coaster 2, or at least a video telling you all about the recent announcement for Planet Coaster 2. So, it's true, the sequel to the popular Planet Coaster is going to be arriving fall of 2024. At time of recording, we do not have an exact date. I would like to say a huge thank you to Frontier, because myself, along with another whole lovely group of content creators, were very kindly given a little bit of an early demo of the game. So alongside what I saw there and what's been made available in the press release today, we're going to go over all of it and let you know what's to come. You can dive into the thrilling world of Planet Coaster 2, constructing the theme park of your dreams with an intuitive piece-by-piece building system as you meticulously craft and customize every aspect of your park like never before, down to the smallest detail, from towering roller coasters to spectacular twisting water slides. You can let your imagination reach new heights to delight and thrill your guests. And whilst there is a lot of new stuff coming to Planet Coaster 2, you can probably tell from the splash in the logo and the trailer and all of these pictures that we're going to be showing you here, the fact that water parks are the main addition. So first of all, there is a new pool tool. You can make these pools using geometric shapes or more custom shapes as well. In this screenshot, for instance, at the back there, you can see some relatively standard square looking ones, or at least rounded edge square ones, but then here towards the front left you can see something that is a little bit more organic. There's a couple of shots later on that show some more sort of windy, twisty ones as well. In the footage that we got to see, and also I think at the top corner you can see there they have wave pools, which is very exciting, and as well as sort of stairs and diving boards and obviously the slides that get you into the pool, they did show off a beach style entrance as well, like an entrance where you can walk down into the water. Talking of slides, they are going to be built with a piece-by-piece system, very similar to how you would build a roller coaster already. You can build them as tight and realistic or as wacky and fantastical as you like. The EFN still applies. That's the excitement, fear, nausea ratings that you would expect for the roller coaster system. That has been carried over into the flumes, and as well as being able to twist and turn these pipes as you see fit, they also had a number of set pieces for these rides as well, including open sections, transparent tubing, vertical drops, boomerangs, fly traps, all of that kind of thing. Alongside the pools and water slides, there is a whole pile of new rides and new scenery and new management features, but let's start to get into some of the nitty-gritty stuff then, that if you are a fan of my channel or a fan of being a little bit more sort of realistic and deliberate about how you build your parks, this is the sort of stuff that you're going to be really excited about. First of all, the pathing tool has had a complete overhaul, allowing you to build much wider plazas that don't look like they're on the grid system. You can see that here. Whilst they didn't actually show off how it worked, it looks like it's more of a sort of brush system or a painting system to be able to select an area rather than the spline-based path, especially when it comes to the pools. I assume that you have plaza down and then pools go into the plaza. But again, that wasn't actually shown during the demo, but looking at how it goes together in some of these screenshots, I feel like that's probably what we can expect. For a game called Planet Coaster, they didn't actually talk much about the coasters, actually. They did show off a couple of new models in these screenshots, and they did say that the enhanced track builder now has more smoothing options and more control over smoothing. The coaster that they gave us a POV of looked good to me, but I'm not really an expert. It's not really my area. They also mentioned in the press release that there were going to be new water coasters. I would really love to see whatever system they have in place for dealing with water slides, have that come over to the rapids and log flumes and things like that. I would love to see them get a bit of an overhaul to work a little bit more with sort of a physics-based water system, or at least look like they do. All of this cool stuff comes with a pile of new management features as well. The power and water cleanliness features from Planet Zoo are coming over to Planet Coaster 2. The pool water, by the way, looks amazing, I will say that. Whilst they didn't show off weather, it does look like weather is going to be something you have to consider. They do mention that shade coverage and sunscreen access are going to be things that you have to care about as far as management's concerned. They also mentioned and showed off heat maps, although we didn't actually see any of them in practice. And alongside all of the returning staff such as mechanics, janitors, ride ops and vendors, there's going to be a series of new mascots to fit the aquatic nature. They showed off a shark and Queen Splash, which is the sort of counterpart to King Coaster. They also showed off a lifeguard character as well, who's going to be milling around and making sure people stay safe in the water. Although they didn't actually show that mechanic taking place as to whether or not it'll look like a security guard. They'll dive into the water and pull somebody out, or if they just sort of go over and check pools periodically like a janitor, like a mechanic would. We're not sure. Alongside the staff, there is a series of new guest services. There is a stall that sells pool passes. There's another one that sells inflatable items that the guests can carry with them, and then they generate them once they're in the pools. There's also a changing facilities. It looks very similar to the toilet from the first game. They sort of walk in there and come out in their bathing suits, and vice versa, go back in there once they're done with the pools, and that sort of turns them onto water mode, I guess. They sort of go in there, come back out, and they're looking for water slides and pools or what have you. All of those buildings look like they are the 4-meter block that we're used to from the first game, so we're going to have to spend some time making them look nice, and luckily we can do that with the new scenery system, and this is where I am really getting excited. They have announced 5 themes for the base game. There is the Planet Coaster theme. Not too sure what that is going to look like, unless it's similar to the Planet Coaster theme from the first game, which is just sort of very plain but modern looking wood and man-made materials. There's a mythological theme, a resort theme, an aquatic theme, and a Viking theme. So the aquatic theme is probably the one we've seen most here in the press release today. That is the very sort of fake looking rock and pipe work that you're looking at here. Very much has like a SpongeBob kind of vibe. All of this is recolorable though, and in the demo they did show off a more muted version of this that had more of a sort of rusty expedition style look to it just from recoloring the pieces. But here with this very bright colouring, yeah, it very much gives me sort of a water park vibe, to be honest with you. That sort of SpongeBob style, very oversized and characterful scenery. The resort theme is what we're looking at in the back of a lot of these screenshots, I think, that make up the buildings. They showed off some of the resort theme in the demo, but I can't seem to be able to find that spot in any of these screenshots, but it very much looked like Surfside kind of Californian architecture, a little bit googie, a little bit Art Deco. It was actually quite nice. And as far as Viking mythology goes, I have no idea what that looks like. I will say that there's quite a bit of tiki theming around the place, lots of straw huts and tiki masks, shields, lots of wood with rope around them. Whether that's part of the Planet Coaster theme, or maybe the mythical theme, or maybe there's just a few random bits throughout there, and the straw huts are actually part of the Viking theme, and they've just done a good job of making them look a little bit more tropical. I don't know. The good thing about the scenery is that it seems to be mostly recolorable and scalable. That's right, folks. They did show us some items that can be scaled, and they did say that certain objects can be scaled. Now, what I'm hoping certain objects means is just anything that a guest doesn't interact with. Basically, I completely understand stores, sunbeds, park benches, all of that sort of stuff. I completely understand those not being scalable. If all of the scenery pieces that we can just put down and move around using the advanced move tool can be scalable, I'm going to be incredibly happy. Just imagine those being scalable and colorable. It's kind of insane. They showed off a couple of pieces being scaled, and they went from the standard size that they were down to like 50% of that up to about 200% of that. So it was quite a good scale, and even when they made it pretty large, it still had really good fidelity. quality. So really happy to see that. I mean, it just really opens up a lot of stuff here. How many times in the original game were you just looking for that piece which is just a bit too big? Let's be honest, it's never too small, it's always too big. The scale here in Planco still looks to be on that sort of 4-meter grid, and a lot of the scenery pieces they showed off do sort of look a little bit sort of characterized and overextended, but that's the game, that's how it is. If we want to play it slightly more in scale and more realistic, that's our choice to do. So it's down to us to do that, but we're going to be able to now a little bit easier with that scalability of the pieces, which is very exciting. As well as that, the scenery pieces are going to be able to be attached to rides. They showed this off in quite a bit of depth actually in the demo, so we really got to see how this seems to work. They showed it off on the teacups that you very briefly see in the trailer. Basically, the teacups have certain spots on them where scenery can be attached to, and then those spots will move with the ride and the sceneries will rotate. So with the teacups, for instance, the little sort of spot there with the stones on, they can be placed down, they can be removed, and the large piece in the middle there, the submarine, that can be removed as well. So the teacups themselves are actually really quite plain, which is amazing. They made them look aquatic with the aquatic stones and the submarine there, excuse me, but that can be removed. Not only that, it's obviously the ride is all recolorable, and they also showed off a new texture system with the rides as well. That can probably be best seen on this screenshot here. The hibiscus flowers on the ride here, that is going to be a texture that you can change. It didn't mention being able to upload your own, but there were quite a few that they showed off, and they seem to be attached to the themes. So the ones they showed off were all sort of aquatic style, so it was lots of either sort of silhouettes of octopuses and starfish or what have you, or they showed off a few here that are a little bit more sort of beach style. But I'm assuming that each theme has their own set of these, and I imagine the Planet Coaster one just has some generic ones, and of course you can just turn them off as well and use basic colors. But each of those themes has multiple colors and you can change them. Just gives you a lot of variation on the rides without having to spend too much time adding scenery to them. So you're going to be able to theme them while still keeping them quite plain, which I think is absolutely fantastic. You can put the teacups into the mythological area and give it some sort of runic edging to it. Sure, I don't know if teacups really works in that kind of spot. They still are teacups, I guess, but I love the idea that you can do that, and it's a really great feature. Just another little level of customizability, which is really great. It's not just on flat rides as well, though. They also showed this that you can attach scenery pieces to coaster cars, and they will move around with the coaster car. So if you think of something like the Texas Giant that has the bull horns on the front of the Cadillac style looking car, if you want to take the time with all the scenery pieces to build something like that, I'm pretty sure you could. But they also showed that it has a mirror feature, so you can do work to one side of the car and it will appear on the other side mirrored, and you can also have it repeat down through the cabs of each car as well. So say it's a sort of 7 cab long car, you only have to decorate the first one and you can make all the stuff repeat down all of them and across multiple cars as well. So you can literally turn on, do this to every car on this ride and so on. That was very exciting. It did mean that the coaster car they showed off, and also in one of these screenshots, one of the flat rides that they show off, they are these sort of slightly sort of amorphous blobs, I guess, because they're there for you to add stuff onto. You'll see here that rubber ring that's attached to it there. I'm pretty sure that isn't on the ride. They have added that on using this new scenery technique, but it does mean you have this sort of like big white blob that you're expected to cover up, which is fine. But you know, if you just want something sort of very basic, I'm not sure whether these blobby messes are going to be the way forward. Again, still very early days though, so excited to see more of how that works. Only other thing to really mention as far as scenery goes then is the planting options are obviously been greatly improved over the first game. You can see more of a Planet Zoo style level of planting, and also just in general the game just looks a bit better. It just looks more like Planet Zoo. It has the better lighting engine and all of that from the Zoo game, which is very exciting. They also mentioned a new event sequencer that you can use to trigger animatronics and effects on rides. Hopefully that's a big improvement from the first game, and they mentioned that the guests are going to be a lot more diverse as well, with greater representation and variety, and it's going to be easier to see feedback based on them as well. They mentioned that just a glance at the park, you'll be able to see if guests are finding rides too nauseous or too fearful. So I assume that the animations have been increased so that you can see different animations as they come off rides. I think water parks is a great addition to the series, and I'm very glad that Planet Water or Planet Flume isn't its own ride. I'm very glad that they're bringing them into the coaster bubble, so to speak. I imagine some people are going to argue that this should have just been an update for the original Planet Coaster, but at this point, with seeing how better the engine, the foliage, the lighting and all that is from Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster came out 9 years ago or so now. I do feel like it's time for a sequel, and I think this is a great way to show that this isn't just a rehash with a slightly newer engine on it. They are adding a lot of great new features. So all of the water park stuff is new, but then also all of the amazing scenery options, the new pathing options, all of this stuff that we just felt couldn't happen in Planet Coaster because of how baked in they were to the base game. I think it's great to see them be able to sort of start fresh here with the sequel and be able to provide some of that stuff that we were looking for from the very beginning. I'm very, very excited for Planet Coaster 2, as you can probably guess, and we'll be covering it a ton on the channel. So if you're not already, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Till the next one, be good.